we have Dhorea.
Oh my gosh, you guys.
All right.
Get ready.
Get ready to be inspired by Dhorea. Dhorea Ramanula is a multifaceted leader and advocate. She's renowned for co-founding National Suicide Awareness Day. She has been published in the Journal of Dental Education and produced an award-winning documentary on healthy living. Dhorea serves as a board chair president and community engagement facilitator at the Faculty of Management at the University of British Columbia, Okanagan. You can't just say UBC anymore. No. And as the only Canadian featured in Times Square, New York for International Women's Day, she's a beacon of inspiration. In 2024, she received an honorable mention for the Women of the Year Spirit Award with Kelowna Women in Business. Dhorea founded Hemi Holistic Healing Center Society, championing inclusive holistic recovery for women. Her unwavering commitment to mental health, education, and community empowerment has made her a respected and influential figure in her field. And we're so honored to call her a friend. Welcome, Dhorea.
Sorry, but does this work? Sorry, yeah. I started crying too soon. I'm deeply. You can hear me, right? Okay, because I really don't need a mic, but I'll play by the rules today. I'm deeply moved by the vulnerability and the honesty and the realness that we all went on this journey. I'm usually like I got this kind of thing. And I went on a really deeper and more healing journey than I had expected or hoped to go on, because sometimes you get in a space where you think, I'm there, right? I'm there, or at least I'm better than where I was. And reality check. Welcome, there's another layer of healing. So usually anyone who's ever heard me speak, I often just share my words as they come to me. But today, most of you don't know this story, and it's very raw and real for me. So I'm going to read off my paper, which is counterintuitive for me, but it's what I need to do today. So be gentle. I thank you and I honor you for being here and walking this journey with me. Good afternoon. As I stand before you, I want to take a moment to connect with all of you on a deeper level. People say life is a journey. Yeah, I love that saying. But I believe it's often more of a battle, a series of struggles that deeply, deeply test your resolve. As the wise Maya Angelou once said, people will never remember what you said. They'll never remember what you did, but they will remember how you made them feel. And I just want you to feel this for a moment with me, because if I can share my story, then hopefully it'll save some lives. When I look into this room, I know that many of you have carried burdens that you can't fully share. So I'm going to share some of mine with you right now. But everyone always asks me, Dhorea, you're so happy and so full of life. And after you hear this story, you'll understand why. Because I made a decision, I made a resolve, I made a choice to choose life. I want to share my journey with you, not for sympathy, but in hopes that my experiences resonate and even remind you that even in our darkest moments, there are some hopes and there is light. Imagine the visceral moment when a gun went off, the immediate and gut-wrenching realization that the love of your life and your husband is gone. 1 minute you're intertwined in each other's laughter, and the next, absolute silence. In the desperate call to my mother, all I could muster was, Kevin's dead. Help me, Mama. But I wasn't just losing him, I was losing my sense of self. Within moments, I was engulfed in chaos, police lights, SWAT teams, having locked myself away in a closet because I had nowhere else to go. And I thought hiding me could shield me from the trauma that I was going through. But the truth is, trauma doesn't just affect us. It actually carves a pathway in our brains and in our hearts, leading us down dark alleys and filled with doubt and despair. And mine started long before that fateful day. This was not my first brush with suicide. At just 18, I had already stared down the abyss. I walked into the loft to find someone I trusted, someone radiant, hanging in silence. I spent 4 hours trying to bring him back to life. My life shifted that day. An innocence was lost, and a burden gained. I thought I would never have to confront such a loss again. Like, who would, right? But fate had other plans for me. You see, trauma, like a shadow, it follows you, or it followed me relentlessly, eager to remind me of my fragility. A few years later, with every passing moment, I felt the walls closing in on me as the trauma culminated in an insurmountable weight. By the time May arrived, I was desperate to escape the darkness that I felt. I think about that day often, the day I swallowed 182 pills. It was a cry for help. It was a cry that I thought would never be answered. I didn't want to die. I just needed the pain to stop. I woke up 3 days later. They told me I had died. And the look on my mother's face. I vowed right then and there to give my life to service from that day on. And I've tried to do a pretty good job. Yes, my journey through healing was anything but linear. I battled demons and such shame and fear, memories that weighed so heavily on my soul. But through therapy, community support, I learned how to confront the uncomfortable truths that I was telling myself, whether real or perceived. I had to not buy into them anymore. They weren't real. They weren't mine to own anymore. I discovered that burying my pain only allowed it to fester. And that's when the healing began, when I started to speak truth to power. And I said, it's not mine to own. I didn't do it. I didn't create it. I can't fix it, but I can start putting the mirror in front of me and loving myself. Because I'll tell you, at the time, I couldn't understand why I was so fucking unlovable. Why were people leaving me? And it seemed like in a very short period of time to lose 2 people in 6 years, and then the next year take your own life. So for me, it was something so deep and guttural that just said, you have to do something different. You have to just have self-love. And you have to understand that it's okay and that you're okay. So when I woke up, I began crafting my identity, not from loss, but from recovery. Not from stigma, but from solidarity. Gradually, and I mean this took like 8 years, so it's not really gradual. It was a fuck of a long time. But I began to translate my experiences into actions that could make a difference. That was when, 20 years ago this year, I co-founded National Suicide Awareness Day. And since then, I think we've healed and changed a lot of people's lives, and mine along the way. And I passionately advocated for open conversations and for the mental well-being. So yes, we run to everyone when there's a broken leg, but when your spirit or your parasympathetic nerve is broken, people need help, and sometimes more. And that was tough, because back then they said if you talked about suicide, they would do it. Well, now we know if you don't talk about it, they're going to do it. And I was kicking open doors even back then. That's why I got my runners on. When they told me no, they said absolutely not. School board said no. Province said no. Everybody said no. Well, here we are 20 years later, so don't listen to no. As I resolved to take my story further, I began crafting spaces where people can find understanding, compassion, and ultimate healing. My commitment solidified as I prepared to launch Hemi's House, a holistic healing center for women in recovery named in honor of my mother. May she forgive me. May she truly forgive me so I can forgive myself. The journey from darkness to light is not an easy one, but it's so worth taking. It is so worth taking. I invite you all to take that first step. Reach out, whether it's someone in need or a little voice that says, you matter. Because we matter simply because we're breathing, simply because we're standing here and having this experience. We matter. Let's foster connection and compassion in our communities. As you leave here today, remember this. You are worthy. Share your story. Embrace the truth. And let us rise together in unity. We find strength. Together we are more than survivors. We are warriors. Now I want you to just, if you'll indulge me for 1 second, please. Please stand if you've lost anyone to suicide. Please stand if you've lost anyone to mental health or addiction or substance misuse. Please stand if you know anyone who's lost someone. Please look around and know that you are not alone. We are not alone in this fight to save lives. Now all I want you to do is take one step forward. And let's step out. You've just taken one step towards ending stigma. My name is Dhorea Ramanula. Thank you.
I love you. I love you so much. Thank you, Dhorea, for sharing your story. You know, I want to just quickly talk about Dhorea. And, you know, on National Suicide Awareness Day this year, I was watching a live stream about a company, organization, Promise to Live, and they talk about raising awareness around suicide, stigma, mental health. And then I just read Dhorea's story. And I was like, wait, National Suicide Awareness Day. Dhorea said she co-founded that day. And so I was thinking, I was watching this live stream and I thought, wow, there's hundreds of companies, maybe thousands out there right now. I shouldn't say companies, sorry, organizations out there right now banding together and talking about raising awareness around suicide. And people are live streaming it because that's the world we live in. And millions of people are watching and raising awareness around a cause. And I thought, oh my goodness, Dhorea. And I texted her and I was like, wait, when you said you co-founded National Suicide Awareness Day, are you talking about today? And she said, yeah. And I said, Dhorea, I can't believe how powerful you are. You made a promise that you were going to commit your life to a cause to change the way the world is. And you put your story out there in the world 20 years ago. And now today, millions and millions of people are standing for that cause. That is true impact. And that is just shows you how powerful one person's story can be, how one person's story can create a ripple effect. And I just feel so honored to know you. And I know you're out for another cause now too. And I'm excited to see what you do with that, to see what this continues to do. And, you know, one of the things I love most about you is that you said once, I'm a disruptor. And I love that about you. And then she said to me, you know, Alex, you're a disruptor too. And it felt like such a deep compliment. So thank you for sharing. I know it's hard. I know.
if you want.
Yeah.
I'm already up here.
She's already up here.
Let's get her.
Yeah. Okay, so we did prepare a couple questions because it's such an important topic. So I think we should, raise as much awareness as possible. So what role has community played in your healing, and how can others create supportive spaces for those going through trauma?
First of all, I forgot to caveat this, if anyone's triggered, please reach out to someone, because going into this question, suicidal ideation and substance misuse all breed in isolation. And when we are alone, we can go down some really dark spaces and places. So what I would suggest is that community is everything. Reach out to a friend, to a colleague, call a number, talk to your neighbor. Basically, the biggest suggestion is that if someone utters those words, take it seriously and real, and it's then a crisis. The other thing I would watch is pay attention for the warning signs, and community is everything. As soon as you see someone, it takes nothing to say, Alex, are you doing okay? You know I care about you, right?
Yes.
So that's as far as you need to go, so someone doesn't walk home tomorrow and say, I got to go. So people think it's this big thing. Yeah, that's for the therapists and for the suicide line. But what we're doing here, when you start speaking truth, when you start acknowledging the human that is beside you, the landscape shifts. And all of a sudden we're connected. All of a sudden we're making change because someone doesn't feel so alone. Sometimes it's not even the words. It's just holding space. I'm going to stand beside you. I don't know what you're going through and I got no words, but I believe in you, and I see that you matter, and I care. And that is so powerful, and we're so busy, but we're not when we're at the funeral. So community is everything. Unity is everything. Having someone is everything. And it doesn't matter the words. You're not going to get it right. But what you are going to get right is that my love and my heart and my compassion and the fact that you are no longer alone is what's going to change it. That was a long-winded answer, but...
No, I loved it. Yes, thank you.
So I want to touch a little bit about that whole community, because there's fear sometimes when you're going through something. You're scared to ask. But it's also up to us to be open and see each other, because we walk sometimes with our phones so drenched in our own stuff, we forget to look up. We were sitting at a coffee shop. No, actually not a coffee shop. Why am I kidding? We went to a brewery. And it was the afternoon.
Judgment-free zone is what I'm trying to say. It was a brewery.
And, Lee and I were having a beer, and there was a guy sitting next to us, and he's on the phone, and he's crying. And it would have been so easy for us just to, go, oh my gosh, look at the guy, and not say anything. But I couldn't. We were sitting, and I'm like, I just cannot leave this man who's obviously distraught without actually just acknowledging. So I went over there and I just asked, hey, are you? Oh, wow, I didn't think I was this bad. I didn't think anybody noticed, but thank you. I'm not okay. That's all it took. It's us paying attention to the surroundings and actually caring. That's community. It's not community just for me. I need to show up for community as well. So thank you, Dhorea.
That's a powerful story.
So,
and it's 9 times out of 10, you don't even know the difference that you made, whether they are at that space or not. Actually, if you've ever had someone come over and be compassionate with you that you don't even know or that you didn't think you were that close with, what does that change in your physiological system that all of a sudden you go, they paid attention to me. I mattered. They stopped for, it can be 3 seconds, people. But that's the trajectory of where we're at today, that if you can't give someone 3 to 5 seconds of your time, no one's that busy. None of us all are. And I just think if your intuition senses it, you're not going to go wrong. The worst they can say is, actually, I'm beautiful. Thanks for noticing. And then it's still a win-win, right? But pay attention. Get back into your body. You'll sense it. You'll feel it. You won't know what's off, but you'll know it. And that's all I'm saying. Be aware of our other humans. Be aware. It's real. And I just want people to, because you'll start connecting with yourself as well. And that changes everything, as we know, right?
Yeah. Okay, well, thank you.
Thank you so much.
Yes. You're up next.